So do you want to get started? It's 104.
It's 104, and I think it's time to get started. So,
Yes.
welcome to the Real Estate Focus Group for today. I'm Chuck Vosberg, along with my beautiful wife, Pat. We are your friends in Florida. And if you're ever thinking about Florida, even if it's not an area we serve, we know everybody else in the state and we can hook you up with the right person. So, don't look at the map, call Chuck and Pat. So we've got a great program here for you today. Geoff Talbot is back, and he's going to give us some lessons on three conversations that we can have to triple the Sphere business that we're getting. Geoff is the founder of Sphere Builders. He's devoted his life's work to helping people grow their spheres, and he's got some very unique ways of doing that. Geoff is our teacher and mentor. We're glad to have worked with him, and I can honestly say that it's totally changed our business, learning from Geoff. So Geoff's here to teach us today. So welcome, Geoff Talbot.
Thank you so much, Chuck. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Welcome, everybody. Very, very glad to be here with you guys today. Can you all see my screen just fine? Can you see me? Slightly bigger version of me. Got to remember to look at the camera.
Yes, sir.
So good to see so many familiar faces, Renee, Corey, and some people from last time that I remember as well. Really excited to be with you guys today. We want to think about one of the essences of changing any business or really transforming your life is who are you talking to? And it might seem strange, but I believe that you can completely change both your business and your life by simply having the right kinds of conversations with people. And so would love to know, if you had to guess, how many really meaningful conversations have you had in the past week? If you had to put a number on it, is it 3? Is it 5? Is it 50? But really meaningful conversations where other person would have left going, my life is better because I've had a conversation with you. If you had to guess, how many do you reckon you would have had? Just pop that in the Zoom chat. We're going to be as interactive as possible today because when we just sit there on Zoom, we all go to sleep. So, Pat and Chuck, 23. How many do you reckon you've had? How many compelling, meaningful, wonderful conversations do you reckon you had? I do make you keep track. 3, 3 to 4, 2. Yeah. 4 or 5, 3 or 4, 5-ish, 2-ish, 2. Okay, great. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to jump in and we're going to have a look at our workbook here. We're going to pop the workbook in here. Can you all see the workbook? If Pat and Chuck could drop a link to the workbook back into the chat for the new people on Zoom, that would be great. I'm seeing more and more people jump on. If you are on the Zoom, I would love to see your beautiful faces. So if you could put the camera on, that would be great. Only if you're fully clothed, of course. Put the camera on. That would be great. I did have one experience with an old man from New Hampshire once on a website, and I had to quickly try and find the turn the camera off button because he was shirtless. So yes, it'd be great to see your beautiful faces if I can. It's just nice to be able to connect with people. I'm down here in New Zealand, and I like to see my American friends sometimes. Okay, good. All right. So this is the workbook here. And what I want to talk to you today is how you can 3 times your sphere business really and simply by having the right kinds of conversations. And so we'll just set a target to start with here. And so I'd love to know, and for you to put in your workbook or in the Zoom chat, if you could get 3 times more business from your sphere, what would that be worth for you financially? Let's make sure that we know that this is important. Like simply tripling your sphere business could make a very big difference. So what would 3 times your sphere business mean for you? And so we have someone here who says 300,000. If the link to the workbook is not working, you can drop the Google Drive link down. Renee is listening, but she's multitasking. Still good to have you here, Renee. Um, what would that be worth to you? 3 times more sphere business. Financially, it's going to be valuable, isn't it? What about your internal state? What I mean by that, not all business is equal, is it? Not all business is equal. If you had a business where people were just helping you out a bunch more, like you felt more supported than you felt before, like what would happen to you personally on an energetic level? How would you feel about your business if just people were just telling everyone else about you? How would you feel? Give me one word. How would you feel if more people were telling everyone about you? How would you feel? Motivated, more motivated. Yeah. It's hard when it's always tough. And that takes a toll. You'd feel more motivated. Joanne would feel more honored. How else would you feel? Angie would feel appreciated. Alicia would feel fulfilled. Amazing. Corey would feel great and humbled. It's very humbling to have other people support you. And sometimes we feel like we don't deserve it. Dawn would feel grateful. How else would you feel? How else would you feel? Anyone else? If three times more people were telling everyone else about you, how would you feel? Great. All right. What would your future be like? How would your future change if your sphere was 3 times more active and you're making 3 times more money and people were just telling everyone about you? What would happen to your future? What would happen? Give me a word. I need to have a word for my worksheet. What would your word be? It would be bright. Less stress. Less stress. Yeah. Less stress. Sometimes the hustle, when we focus on lead sources that aren't from our sphere of influence, sometimes that hustle can keep us in a place of stress. You know, the way the way in is the way on almost. And so if we really work our sphere of influence and we grow our sphere of influence, so there's more and more people who are engaged with us, who are sharing about us, then we create this machine of goodwill that just provides for us going forward. But if we build our future now based on just hustling and fighting and scrapping for everything, then we build a future based on stress. What would your quality of life be like if more people in your communities told everyone about you? What would your quality of life be like if you could stop doing some of the things, some of the sort of scrapping that you have to do maybe right now? What would your quality of life be like? Pop that in the chat. What would your quality of life better sleep? Honestly, that is just the best ever because sleep is like a foundational part of life. I don't want you to be um, not sleeping. And so when we think about this 3 times, yeah, it's a number that we just, 3 is the third number, isn't it? But what it means is you're going to make a lot more money if your sphere can be 3 times more active. You're going to feel way more motivated. It's a less stressful way of doing business. And honestly, you're going to sleep a lot better. Like that's the kind of life I want for you. And what we're going to talk about today is a way for you to do this, where you are able to be fully your brave, authentic, truthful self. So um, no more needing to play roles. And so if we jump in here and go back to the workbook, we should see this here. Our model is based around this. And so what we're going to talk to you today about is, look, you can have everything you want simply by changing the way that you talk to people, who you talk to, how you talk to them, and the quantity and quality of your conversations. And so in our model here, this is all built on you, Corey, you, Jeanette, you, Hunter, you, Tina, you, Kalandra, fully being yourself. Like, what does it look like for you to be brave and fully be yourself? And of course, there's going to be some changes. You're going to have to expand a little bit, both inwardly and outwardly. You're going to have to engage more widely and more deeply. And you're going to have to figure out how to get people excited about what you do. Because when people are not referring us as much as we would like, basically, we just haven't figured out how to excite them enough. We haven't made it important enough for people in your sphere of influence to refer you. They want to, they really do. but you haven't managed to make it important enough. One of the things I want to talk to you guys about is we have a number of ways of helping you 3 times your sphere. And I'll talk a bit more about it at the end. But if you want to focus more on your sphere of influence, you can send me a message. Pat, if you could drop my messenger link into the chat. And after the call, I'll just share some of the ways in which we can help, say hello, have a conversation with you. There's no pressure at all. I mean, I've talked to many of you in the past, and there's definitely no pressure. So just send me a message on that messenger link right now, and we can have a conversation after the call right here. I'll put it in here, and you can't find it there, Pat. Just send me a message and say the words 3 times sphere so I know where you come from. Just wanted to get that in because you might not be here at the end. This is our model here. And when you think about what do I need to do to 3 times at my sphere of influence, there are a few things. Firstly, I think we need to understand that you are not here for every single person in your town. What's your town? Just put the name of your town or your city or the place where you sell real estate into the Zoom chat. What's the name of your place so I can see where you are? Tampa, Gays Mill, Northport, Mechanicsville. That's a great name, Janet. Amazing. Richmond, Waco, Texas, Austin, Boone. So Judy says Boone. Judy, you're not here for everybody in Boone. Not everyone there you will resonate with, but there are some people. There are some incredible people, and we call them catalytic connections. There are some people who are absolutely here for you on this earth. They are your people. And we've built a model where you only need 100 of these people. You only need 100 catalytic connections to completely change your life. And so we won't get into that today too much, but I want you to know that it's not, you can stop. I give you permission to stop trying to appeal to everybody and to stop trying to build a massive list and to say, let's dig deep, let's find our people. I have a friend who was a client, Jennifer Preddy. She decided about 10 years ago, I'm going to tear up my email list and I'm going to focus on it. She said 150 for her, 150 people who I really love. She now does $100 million in production a year as a solo agent because she tore up her email list and said, these are my people. These are the people who are great for my business and great for my life, and I'm going to focus on them, right? And so that's important. And then the next thing is we need to get you talking to people more. One of the reasons your sphere doesn't refer you enough is you're talking at them and not with them. And so we're not going to talk at people. We're going to have actual conversations. 50 conversations a week is the goal. Technology is a great tool. 50 conversations a week. And this is where we're going to focus today. And we'll come back to that quite a bit today. Like, how do we get you having 50 conversations a week with people? And what are those conversations? We call them compelling conversations. And too often, we're just checking in with people to see where they're at on their real estate journey, see what their real estate needs are. And it's not a compelling conversation, but we can have very meaningful conversations with people. What happens is we move from being top of mind to center of heart. And for some of you, you've probably been told to try to be top of mind. Can I have a wave from anyone who's been told to be top of mind at some point in their real estate career? Top of mind, top of mind. Okay. Could you also just let me know in the Zoom chat, little experiment here. What are 3 things you've thought of so far today? And I want you to answer me in 5 seconds. 3 things you've thought of. 3 things you've thought of. Go on, pop in the Zoom chat. You're a bit slow. Come on. Three things. Give me 3 things you've thought of. 3 things you've thought of, right? There's a reason. There's a reason that it's hard. Family, money, pottery. It's difficult because you've thought of so many things today. And so top of mind is very competitive. And if you aim for top of mind, what happens is you often get it's very competitive and you get out competed. And so people forget about you. They forget about you because somebody else got in and got top of mind. Let me ask you this. Who are the three most important people in your life? The three people you care about most. Pop that in the chat. Three most important people. Kids, significant other, parents. Much faster. It's coming in straight away. Husband, daughter, son. And there's also no doubt husband, kids, me, right? And so with our nurturing, what we want to do is we want to have the kinds of conversations that don't just go for top of mind, that go for the center of heart. So you want to be the real estate agent, if that's your business, you want to be the real estate agent that people feel the strongest about. Because when you're center of heart, it's far less competitive. It doesn't require that you be perfect. Top of mind requires that you have a system, that you're perfect, that your nurturing doesn't slip. Center of heart is far more forgiving. Tina, if your daughter makes a mistake, heaven forbid, it's easy for you to forgive her because she's center of your heart. If someone's just top of mind and they annoy you or upset you, doesn't always hold as strongly. And so as we jump in here, what we want to make sure of is that we're going after these 50 compelling conversations every single week. And then the other part of our model that we won't dive into too heavily today is you need to have partners, people who will collaborate with you. And if you can have 20 committed collaborators in your community, people who will move heaven and earth to help you, not just refer you, but to help you, those 20 people can give you 1 to 2 deals a year. And that's work. It's work to form these relationships, but it's life-giving work. And so that would change things a lot for you. And if you think about this in terms of a model, just to summarize it, what you want to have is you want to be surrounded by people who give you energy, who are good for your business. You want to talk to them a lot. And by the process of talking with them, what you want to do is you want to be forming really strong, committed, collaborative partnerships. You can see here a compelling conversation moves you away from just being top of mind to being center of heart. Little brainstorming here so we can understand our enemy. When I asked you at the start of the call how many meaningful conversations you had had this week, some of you, it was a little bit too low. Like it wasn't close to 50, if we're honest, right? Some of it was 3, 4, 5. And so let's figure out why. Why are you not talking to more people? Why are you not having more meaningful conversations? People are everywhere. What an amazing opportunity to connect our life is. What is stopping you? What gets in the way? And so what I'd love you to put in here on your worksheet or even in the Zoom chat, what stops you from starting conversations with people? What are the things that get in the way? Is it busyness? What is it? What else? What stops you from starting conversations? Daily chaos. Chaos is a killer. I agree. Chaos chaos will take your eyes off the people right in front of you that you perhaps could have talked with. Being an introvert makes it harder. Yep, sure. Not getting outside enough. Huh. They're stuck to the computer. Could do. What else? Or even stuck to being outside could be something else. Could affect your energy too. Complacent. What else? What stops you from starting more conversations? Given that it's important, given that conversations alone could 3 times your sphere, make your life way more meaningful, take away stress and help you sleep. Too busy taking care of others. Hmm. What else? Not comfortable. Not comfortable. Fear. A lack of comfort is sometimes related to not knowing how. I know it sounds strange, but one of the things that we teach people is actually how to start conversations. And we do it on a Friday on a Zoom call. We will all start conversations with our sphere of influence together. And last Friday, we had a couple of people start 50 conversations in a 40-minute Zoom with their sphere of influence using technology in a relevant way. And so one of the things that I would like you to consider, I'm just going to draw this sort of down here in the gap here, is that sometimes we think of it this way. We think of conversations. I have to talk to people because it's good for my business. Who thinks that? I need to talk to people because it's good for my business. Yeah. And you could be forgiven for thinking, pardon me, that that's what I'm teaching today. I really don't want to teach that. What I want to teach is this. What I want to teach is this. Business is good for having conversations. The reason it's this way around is what truly, I'm about to swear, but I'll try not to, because I know that you're all very good, pure folk on next home. What's really true is that the things that will change your life and the life of others are not whether you sell them a house or not, but it's the way you treat them. It's the conversations you have. Has anyone here ever had a really crappy day and then you've had a conversation with a friend and you've felt better? Anyone? Just wave to me. Anyone? Right. And so conversations are like the real currency of life. And you working in real estate, even if you're an introvert, is an amazing excuse to have conversations that are more defined, more straightforward. They're more permission orientated. And so everything you do with real estate is an excuse to have a conversation with people. It's a reason to talk with people, to change somebody's life, to listen, to hear them share that thing they've never shared before. But what we need to do is not just start conversations, we need to dive deeper. And so when we think about compelling conversations, I'm just going to come back here for a second. The three parts to it. The first part is you got to be starting now. So your job is to start conversations. You can't wait for other people to start them with you. You'll be very lonely, like a lonely guy at a bar waiting for a girl to come up and buy him a drink. Trust me, I did this for 10 years. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work. You just end up drinking a lot. So you don't want to do that. You want to be proactive. And then once you start a conversation, what's important is that you dive deep. And we'll talk about that today because it can be misunderstood. Deep doesn't mean serious. Deep means that there is an exchange of knowledge. So that if I have a conversation with Tina, with Hunter, or Patricia, or Rudy, or Lydia, after the conversation, a compelling conversation, all it is that I've learned something new about them and they've learned something new about me, even if it's just one thing. And one of the reasons why your sphere of influence might not be referring you as much as you like, one of the problems that we see is that because it's become static. It's become static. In other words, there's a few different ways it becomes static. One thing is not enough new people are coming in because guess what? You're not talking to new people. The other reason it becomes static is because the relationship you have with those people is not deepening. Has anyone ever been in a relationship where they've stopped learning about the other person and the other person stopped learning about them? I have. Um, it does happen sometimes. And what happens is boredom sets in and people start to tune you out. And so when you think about your sphere of influence, maybe not referring you as much as you like, I guarantee that relationally, it's starting to become static, that people have got those messages from you before. You've checked in with them 3 times now. They're not learning about you. You're not sharing anything new relationally. And you're not learning anything new about them. Because perhaps when it's static, we also start to talk at people rather than with. And so with, not at. With, not at. And so that's the next thing. In a compelling conversation, we want you to be starting them. We want the conversations to be diving deep. And then we also want to be doing this, and we'll talk about this in a second going forward. And this means that you get to make a choice as to what the relationship is for. You need to choose what each relationship is for and what every conversation is for. And too often we just talk with people and we kind of see what happens. And that's a very passive way of building relationships. When you find someone you're like, this person's amazing, we got on so great, then you want to decide, this is the person that I'm going to keep nurturing. I'm going to keep engaging this relationship. I'm going to bring this person in close. They have partnership potential, whatever it is. When you find someone and there's a good exchange of energy and there's a great conversation, keep talking with that person. And to oversimplify it, when you find the opposite, when you nurture a relationship and you're like, oh my goodness, I would rather go to the dentist and have all my teeth pulled out than talk to this person again. Guess what you shouldn't do? You shouldn't keep them on your nurture list and talk to them again next month just in case they might use your services. You can just talk to them once a year. You don't have to keep talking to people who don't give you energy. It hurts you so much in the long run, like way more than we think. And so we want to make sure that we do this. And I want to talk about starting conversations now. So this is sort of a summary of these three things that we're going to talk about today. 1, 2, 3, excuse my messy scroll. And we won't worry too much about this. I want to keep us moving. And I want to talk us about this, what we call the conversation generator wheel. And I've got a little animation I'm going to try and share with you here. So if we pull this up here, you should see this. Typically, if we have a sales mentality, like if you were to message 25 people in your sphere of influence right now and say something like, hey, Bob, this is Janet here. Just wanting to see where you're at with your real estate needs. Do you know anybody? Do you need my services? Just like that. Hey, Bob, this is Janet here. Just wanted to see if we are with real estate. Do you need my services? Out of those 25 people, if you message them that, not just, obviously you change their name, and it's very lame, you're right. What do you think would happen? What would you hear a lot of? That's a close-ended question. Silence. No, no. Right, right. But if we just talk to them about real estate, you're going to hear stop, crickets. Yeah, you're going to hear the stop a lot. And so what happens is a lot of our marketing messages, a lot of our emails, I know that's a simplified, direct, very lame form, but they can be like that. And it's a very transactional approach. When we start conversations based on can I find business, we hear a lot of stop. And we don't want that. We want you to hear yes all the time. And when you start compelling conversations in the right way, you can have an 85 or 90% response rate, which is huge. And the way to do that is you want people to come to you. And so if we think about this more in terms of a wheel and wanting motion, what we know about a wheel is that there are spokes. There are spokes on this wheel. In every relationship that you have with your sphere of influence, there are different contexts for the relationship. And these spokes represent contexts or frameworks, depending on how we want to talk about it. For example, if I have a new person in my sphere of influence, I'm going to start a conversation with them quite differently than I would start one with Pat and Chuck, who are dear friends and just so great at running this group, right? So if I sent Pat and Chuck a message that said, hey, Chuck, um, great to meet you here on Facebook. Whereabouts do you sell real estate? He would be horrified. he'd be offended. He'd be like, but Geoff, you know me. I'm Chuck. But if I sent Chuck a message that said, hey, Chuck, I'm worried about you. I had a dream last night and you'd spent a whole year not driving your Volkswagen. What's going on, buddy? He'd be like, Geoff, your dream is wrong. I've been driving it all the time. I don't even do any work anymore. I'm just always in the Volkswagen. Like I could joke around with him. So contexts are different. And so one of the reasons you don't start conversations enough is you don't have access to enough different contexts. And the frameworks are, the ways that you will start a conversation for relationships that are at different stages. And so for your sphere of influence to generate momentum, you need to be working relational contexts differently. So different people need different conversation starts. Pardon me. Wrong button. And you can start conversations online and offline, and certainly using Messenger and text are a very scalable way for you to talk to more people. But you want to be talkative offline and here. One of the things I'd like you to think about are just groups of different contexts. So when you have a new connection on social media or in real life, the general approach is you want to really welcome them very warmly. And I can get into a lot of granular detail here, but for example, when I ask most people in real estate, what do you do when you get a new Facebook friend or a new Instagram follower? There are really two approaches. They either try and sell to them straight away or they ignore them completely. All you want to do with a new person is make sure you say hello and be consistent in welcoming new people. If a new person came into your house, you wouldn't try and sell to them and you wouldn't ignore them, hopefully. That would be strange, wouldn't it? If you had 3 new people come into your house for a meal and you didn't talk to them at all, or you said, great, I'm glad you're here. Let's talk about your real estate dreams while you're having dinner. That would be horrendous. And so, but you'd want to welcome them. That's the first thing. So the first context or group of frameworks for you to be engaging your sphere of influence is you must get in the habit of welcoming them warmly. But if all we do is welcome people warmly, the relationship dies because what do you do the second time they come into your house? Oh, it's so great to have you here. Like, third time, it's so great to have you here. Fourth time, it's so great to have you here. Eventually, the relationship will stumble. And so once we've welcomed people warmly, we need to create curiosity. And right now, in your sphere of influence, I can guarantee that there are a bunch of people who you've been warm with when you first met them, but the relationship has stayed static. If you went to your Facebook profile, your Instagram profile, if you went to your CRM, there'd be people like, you'd be like, yeah, I know them. I like them. They like me, but it hasn't moved. Those relationships haven't got deeper. And the good news is you're sitting on what we call a bunch of latent relational equity. In other words, there's huge value sitting there and it's untapped. But what we have to do is we have to arouse some curiosity here. It's very important that we have a way of engaging and connecting with people. We use a lot of questions on Facebook, and I've just decided to do this randomly for you since you're at next home and you're on this call. I've decided to give you a gift. I literally decided this just as I'm teaching this. But you'll need to message me to get the gift, and you'll need to message me the word 3 times sphere. What I'm going to give you is we have a database of 883 proven questions that have got over 50 to 100 to actually 50 to 2,500, pardon me, comments on people's social media accounts. I will give you all those questions if you message me 3 times sphere. So if you do that, I will give you that as a PDF and you can use it. One of the reasons that I want to share this with you is something remarkable happened to me yesterday. Some of you will know that I used to live in Los Angeles, lived there for till about 2.5 years ago, worked with realtors all around the world. And as part of what I do, I post a lot of engaging questions on social media to start conversations, to learn about people. Well, since I moved to this new part of New Zealand in January, I have a friend, and his name's Eric. And he's a friend because his daughter is in my daughter's class, and he's from Long Beach, California, but he's moved to New Zealand. Never met Eric before in my life, or at least I didn't think I had. Yesterday, he was hassling me about my dress sense at school pickup, and he said, um, "Have you ever had style?" or something like that to my wife. We were having a fun conversation. And I said, "Yes, I have. Let me show you on my Facebook some old photos." And I pull up my Facebook on my phone, and he goes, "Wait, oh my God." He goes, "This is you?" And he sees my profile picture. And I go, "Yes." And he goes, "You're the guy that asks questions on Facebook. This is from right around the world, like 3 years later." And I go, "Oh, I think I remember your name." And we did a search. And there he was. He'd answered 3 of my questions. We had one mutual friend, 3 years later, from being curious, he remembered me. Now, he keeps messaging me, "I can't believe this. This is you. This is," for some reason, he hadn't recognized my profile picture. And so, what I want you to understand is the power of curiosity to deepen relationships is important. And I want you to think about your sphere of influence and how you can ask questions, not just in social, in email, in real life, to deepen relationships. Because there's always something more to know about a human being. And your sphere of influence becomes static when you stop being curious about others. And you have to lead that curiosity. It's so, so, so very important. But even after the curiosity phase, we get to another phase. And I'm going to be a little bit mischievous here and truthful, because relationships that deepen normally have a sense of mischief or fun or play in them. Dear me, do you mean that being a realtor, you could also have fun relationally and play? Yes. And an example of this, there are all sorts of ways of having fun, but I misread 2 weeks ago. I misread Chuck's birthday. It was his anniversary. And I sent him a birthday message and he corrected me. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to send 30 people, might be some people on this call, 30 people a birthday message, knowing full well that it's not their birthday? Let me send them exactly the same message. "Hey, Joanne, happy birthday. I want you to know you're amazing. And the next 12 months of your life, I think, are going to be incredible." 30 messages, wrong messages, 25 replies almost immediately. Some people were like, "Geoff, I know what you're up to." Others were like, "It's not my birthday." And best of all, one person said, "Thank you very much. That means a lot to me." And I went and checked their Facebook profile and it wasn't their birthday. They were just too polite, but we were having fun. We were having fun. And so there's all sorts of ways in which you can engage your sphere of influence, which are fun, which are mischievous, which get people to know the joy of you. And so there's that. And then the next part here is you really want to be hitting hearts. And so when we're having compelling conversations, sometimes, yes, we want to welcome new people. If we work our way around the wheel, we want to be curious and learning about people. We want to be making mischief, but we also want to be connecting with people's hearts. And too often, when we are working transactionally, we miss the heart completely. We miss the heart maybe and maybe get the brain, but often we miss it completely. And so another example of something I've done previously was driving on a long trip. Couldn't send messages, was a bit bored, couldn't type messages, but I managed to send 40 voice messages just in Messenger, to people in my sphere of influence in an hour. And all I did was to speak from my heart. Hey, Corey, I just wanted you to know that you are so brave. And I reckon that you are one of the most honest realtors that I know. I've always enjoyed our conversations. If you need encouragement today, know that what you do matters. Just whatever I could feel in my heart, I sent to people. An amazing response. People hearing my voice, knowing that they're important. When you think about the people in your sphere of influence right now, if you think of 50 people, probably 40 of them would really appreciate a generous compliment right now. Probably 40 of them. And you know what? Of those 40, guess how many are going to get a generous compliment from their realtor or from a realtor today? None, right? None unless you send it. And if you want to aim for the heart and become center of heart and miss and skip your competitors and make them irrelevant, then be the person that manages to hit the heart. That's going to be huge for you. And so as we go back here, we want to just be very aware that the way you start conversations depends on the relational context. Notice this is important because I'm not going to send a heart-centered message to a new Facebook friend because that would be weird. That would be like stalking. If I send a new Facebook friend, hey, Kalandra, it's great to meet you. Just wanted you to know that you're one of my favorite people in the world. She'd be like, I don't know you at all. That's weird. That's so random, right? And so all the messages have to have the right context. And we're trying to move people around the wheel. And that's what gives our sphere energy via conversations. We welcome new people, we get to know them, we have some fun, and then we really connect with their hearts. Does that make sense? Can you give me a wave if it makes sense? Great. I'm having a little trouble here. I think it's because my slide is finished. Great. So let's come back in here to let's talk about this here. If we think about this here, most people in real estate, when I asked you how many conversations you had started, if we think about the number of conversations and a goal being 50 per week, which actually is not a lot when you have the right methodology, and down here is 0, most people are sitting down here. Most people are sitting in this bracket here. And conversely, if you think about the depth of conversation that people are having, most people are sitting more here. They're more shallow than deep. And so if you're here today, don't worry too much because you're right in the norm. What we'll sometimes see is that some people have a lot of very superficial conversations because they believe that it's all about, it's all about the calls. It's all about the volume of calls I have to make. It's all about the connects. I'm going to hop on my dialer and I'm just going to dial until I find business. Well, you're always going to be dialing. You're going to spend your life dialing if that's your approach. And so the real goal and the reason that some people sit in the green and some people that you know of, really, they have an amazing sphere of influence that thrives. The reason that they thrive, the reason that gets them from the red to the green across that white line is that they're having a significant number of compelling conversations. They're having conversations that matter with people. And that's why they're center of heart. And so that's what our aim is, to keep you on this journey, get you moving on this journey, wherever you are here. We want to get you moving to the green because that's where you need to be and where you deserve to be. When it comes to having a compelling conversation, you're starting them, you're diving deep, you're going forward, you're choosing what each one is for, and you're repeating. This is the cycle. We start conversations, we learn a bit more about people, we decide what the relationship is for, and we keep going. I've got a list here of what diving deep in a conversation isn't. So it's not a moan session. Like sometimes you can get together with a friend and just moan and moan and moan. It's not very compelling, is it? Like no one says, "Oh my goodness, that was a great bitch session." Pardon me. Let's get together and do that again next Friday. That was amazing. I felt so good just to complain about the state of the world and how scary life is right now. I felt uplifted. Let's do that again tomorrow. Oh, by the way, you should work with Geoff because he made me feel terrible about the world, right? It doesn't work that way. So even though it can feel good to let off steam, if that's all it is, it's not a compelling conversation. It's also not one-sided where you do all the talking. It's also not a relationship where one person teaches. And so to the best of your ability, you want to have horizontal relationships with people in your sphere where they are of equal value. Yes, you might have expert real estate knowledge, and that's work. What I'm talking about is the relational conversation. You don't want to teach your friends. I don't know whether Chuck ever sits Pat down and says, "Pat, let me teach you some things today. I want to teach you some things." Like that wouldn't be a very good relationship, right? So no one's teachers. They're not boring. There's not a transactional goal in the relational. It requires a decision. It doesn't require a decision. You're not controlling everything. It's not serving to make you wealthy. And it's not a single conversation. So when you're diving deep with people, you're understanding that what's going to happen for you with your sphere of influence is going to happen over a series of conversations. And it's not dependent on channel. A compelling conversation can happen absolutely anywhere. There's normally a positive energy exchange. Both parties leave the conversation going, "That was a great conversation." Everybody's learning, no one's teaching. Often it's colorful, so there won't be a lot of role playing or you being the realtor, or you being extra professional or minding your P's and Q's. It's all about the relationship. Like, are you getting to know the other person better? And if all that happened today was you had 5 amazing conversations with people that were compelling, you would have had an incredible day. And it's unfortunate that we learn to value our day's success by whether we got a closing, got a lead, because those things by themselves are not the goal. The goal is that you would have incredibly valuable interactions with other humans. We got to surrender the outcome and trust. Like, could it really be this simple? If all Lydia, Alicia, Corey, Rudy, Patricia, Janet, Anne did today were have 5 amazing conversations with people, would that be enough? And if you did it again tomorrow and again the next day, would your business grow? Absolutely. It would actually grow quicker. And it's going to make the world a lot better. And it can happen anywhere at any time. And so that's what a compelling conversation is. I want to reiterate too that you get to choose. And often we live in this realm of no choice. Like, I'm a realtor, I've got to work with them, even though they're really annoying. Oh, I'm a realtor, I've got to keep them in my database just in case they want to use me sometime. I'm a realtor, they were a client, I've got to follow up because even though they were annoying, that's what realtors do, right? Whenever you live in this land of no choice, you become less than human. And so our goal is to say, you know what? I get to choose who I'm going to spend my time with. I get to choose what this conversation is for, when it's finished, when I'm going to talk again with them. You get to choose what every relationship and conversation is for. It's the best part of being human. And don't let your business dictate who you talk to. That would be weird. It's your life. And so I want to talk briefly. Yep, had to fire someone last week. Congratulations, Lydia. That's as big as a closing, actually, because you're saying, I'm making a choice about my value. I'm choosing to be valuable. 3 simple conversations we can start now. I wanted to give you something to do as well as the gift as we're getting close to wrapping up here. The first one is I want you to be in the habit of welcoming new people. people you don't know. Embrace and engage strangers. One of the things that we will sometimes do on our action calls on Fridays is we'll focus just on new people. And these could be new Facebook friends or new social media followers. And you can start these really quickly. And or it could be like people at a networking group. But you really elevate yourself when you engage the new people. Your next piece of business or referral or whatever it is that you're wanting is really only ever one conversation away. And so one of the things to consider though is just to say hello and ask them a really easy question to answer. Don't make it hard. Don't ask them what they think about the state of politics in the United States. Don't ask don't ask them about what they think about what their scariest moment in life was. Like, don't ask them if they truly love their spouse. Just ask them whereabouts they are in the world. And then also share one thing. So all we're trying to do with a new person is we're just leading. We're asking them something simple and we're sharing something about ourselves. If that's all that happens, guess what? That new person is no longer a new person. And now you have an acquaintance. And everyone has got business from acquaintances before. And the relationship is moving forward. So I want you to be in the practice of trying to say hello to at least 5 new people a week. Whether that's in Facebook, social media, real life, 5 new people a week will make a difference. When it comes to forgotten people, often, and hear me on this, one of the biggest mistakes people make is because my nurturing has been bad, I will continue to nurture bad. Excuse my poor English. In other words, I feel guilty for not keeping in touch, so I will continue to not keep in touch. And the truth is that people love to be remembered. Hear me. People love to be remembered far more than they hate to be forgotten. And so, as you think about your sphere of influence, I want you to reach out to people you haven't spoken to in a while and just say, hey, it's been ages. Acknowledge the time. And then you can say, it's been ages, excuse my writing, just thinking about you, because you are. You're remembering them. And whatever I really loved, say something you really loved about. I really loved working with you on such and such, and name that thing. Honestly, we had Stacy from Next Time do this one time. She reached out to 8 people she was feeling terrible about, hadn't spoken to them in 5 years. She got 2 listings from that, from remembering people. And then the last thing is, I want you to think about people who are in motion. They're trying to run a business. They're trying to do something big in their life. And I want you to really start conversations with them. Ask them. I've never asked this before. Chuck, what's your goal with this Next Time focus group? Right? Ask them what they want. And then share what you're trying to do. So with collaborators or people who are in motion, they're trying to achieve something, ask them what they want. Try and do this at least once or twice a week. And you've probably got a backlog of work here for people you've forgotten. So try and do 10 of those. 5 new people. 10 nurtures, if you like. And 1 or 2 partners. Who knows what will happen? I tell you for sure what will happen if you don't. Nothing. I was going to talk about this slide here, but we are out of time. I just want to let you know, though, that right now there are 4 pathways that you could be on. And it all depends on how you embrace people. You can get my slides if you wish. Yes. If you choose to continue to not talk to people and go on your own, you go on that red line, you might have a very successful business. You might be able to grind it out, but you're going to have a very lonely life if you don't have amazing, compelling conversations with people. If you decide to hustle your way to success and just work hard, work every lead source, work with any client whoever you ever lay eyes on, it's going to be hard work, right? If you decide just to build systems and go for top of mind and be good to your clients, you'll have good work. But if you decide to really engage and really build a powerful sphere of influence full of people you love, then you can have a truly profound life. And I have a number of ways in which I can help you have a profound life. And it's really a journey. And I realize that some of the more expensive ways of working with me, not everybody can do. But we have a way of getting you on that green line for everybody. It just might take a bit longer. And so please message me 3 times sphere. I want to give you those 883 proven questions. I'll show you where you can get a lot of free stuff from us. And if you want to do more work, then we can do all sorts of things like create a plan for you or have you join our academy. So there's lots of different ways in which we can help you. And the more help you go, the faster you'll get up here. That's it. No sales pitch. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being with me today. I appreciate it. I wish I could stay around for questions, but I literally have a training to go to with our Sphere Builder Academy. So thank you, Corey. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Tina, Alicia, Sabrina, Tina, Joanne, Janet, Anne. Thank you guys so much for being on the call today. Hope to see you around some point soon. Talk to you later.
Thanks so much, Geoff.
Thank you, Geoff.
You're welcome.
That was absolutely awesome. So I want to remind everybody, we meet here every other Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, the Next Homie Focus Group. And again, I'm Chuck Vosberg with my lovely wife, Pat. We're your friends in Florida. Contact us anytime. We're always happy to help. And if you're not a member of the Next Homie Focus Group Facebook group, look it up on Facebook and make sure you're a member so you can get news. And also, if you are not getting emails from me about the focus group, put your name and email address in the chat so that I can add you to their little list.